the one thing that I had to work on last year that I really was building on, and I think I want to take that to a whole other level, because I got past the money block of having to spend on, you know, experiences, spending to get into rooms. But the social portion of everything was always my biggest issue, because I became like a hermit in the midst of creating content or whatever. So I never really branched out, really met with people or whatever. So last year was just the social portion. So now being in a building where people are paying that price point, you know, for one, they got money, they've got a network, and you're actually able to build and cultivate relationships with them. So that was also something that played a large role, because now let's just say I meet somebody in the mail room or something like that, or I happen to meet you downstairs, or I go to the conference room and somebody's doing work. I can now introduce myself to everybody within that proximity and build relationships there. Because how many times you see somebody move into like an apartment complex, or maybe you move into a neighborhood, you don't know anybody, nobody knows you. I want to be in a spot where, okay, cool, I just moved in, great. Everybody on the same floor as me, I'm bringing you, oh, well, here's a bag of like chocolates, or a bag, oh yeah, I'm just moving in, here's my apartment number or whatever, always stop by, this is what I do, hey, I'm the chiseled Adonis, come and meet me, whatever the case may be. Oh, what you got going on? Oh, I see somebody, they have like a pool thing, they have like a party area that you can rent out. I'd probably do one of those and then just send a mass invite to everybody who's in the building. Yo, I rented out this spot for like 3 hours, come on down and hang out or some shit. Idea. Just a way to just connect with people, because if there's one thing that I learned meeting with people who are at the top, they're all incredibly personable and they're great people to be around.
Well, it's weird, right? Like, this is what I've noticed. People at the top are cool to people at the top.
Right.
Let's say you're someone that comes, you have nothing to offer. They might be nice to you. I think a lot of these people are nice, but like they don't really want to spend time with you. So I think because you have something to offer, you're an interesting individual, you're an interesting person. It's so funny, my wife is upstairs on her thing.
Oh, you can see it from the
crazy.
To the upstairs. How cool is that?
Yeah, she's doing that.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so because you're an interesting individual, you have such a unique career, a unique business. People are like, oh, I'm gonna connect with this guy. Everyone wants to connect with you. I don't know not one person that wouldn't want to connect with you, you know?
Right.
Because whatever it is you do, you provide some value in some form of way. So it's just that kind of like the way it works.
Yeah, and it's, you want to be somebody who can leave a lasting impression. If there's anything that I've learned, somebody who's a vibe will always be invited somewhere.
Facts.
Like, even if you have nothing to offer, if you're a good time, like they hang out with somebody, like, yo, I remember we was hanging out with this dude. You could be the brokest person in the room. You have 100%. Absolutely no money, but you leave a lasting impression. They will always invite you.
100%.
Because you don't want to be somebody who's rich and is a square. You don't want to be somebody who's just elevating, but then you're also a square. So you've got to have that social aspect. And I felt like I was falling out of touch with that. So I had to get outside and remind people.
One thing I realized for that, like when I was broke, one of the easiest ways for me to network with like richer people than me was always just through women. Like my one skill was like a good salesperson, but I would just bring like 4 or 5 girls wherever I went.
Yeah, that's a cheat code.
And it always works, because now the rich guys are like, oh, let's invite Renee, because he always brings 4 or 5 girls. You know, and if they're hot, it helps. So like they're always just kind of like that. Now that I'm married, my marketing, my networking has changed, right? You have to like change the value that you provide. So now it comes from more of a like, I'm a cool marketing guy perspective.
But then again, you still can kind of play the same game to a certain extent, because if you were to, like, with the extension of your wife's friends, or maybe if you still happen to have those female, because it was a different dynamic back then, but because that, a lot of people don't recognize how important that is. Like, Dan Bilzerian, you know, would do it where although he would finance those girls to be around him, but if you're a dude who always has just a bunch of beautiful women who's around you, people are going to want to be around you because they want to get around the beautiful women. As we have I believe this one's Bijou, who just joined.
We had a dog that joined the podcast.
Joined the podcast. You have anything to say, dog?
He escaped.
No, you don't.
He escaped from the West Wing.
Right.
No, he escaped from upstairs somewhere.
Imagine being in a space to where you don't have to go outside to go walk the dog. The dog kind of just walks around. Yeah. You just got to go outside to pee. And even if you wanted to pee inside, you can.
I can play fetch in my house. If I throw this all the way over there, it's fucking like, that's a far.
Right. We've got a 40-yard dash in here, just to paint the picture to you, for you guys to know how large, you know, this penthouse just so happens to be.
I love it, man. It's such a good feeling. Waking up to this, I'm like, fuck, I did that, bro.
Right. And that's actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's one of the most important things. Like, people will move based on like your price point and how much you could afford, which makes sense. But when you make a decent amount of money and you save enough to where you have a nest egg, I would implore everybody, just say, all right, cool. Let's just say if total for the year, it would be, we'll go with the average, person, if you're making about like 40 some thousand per year, if you save up about like 25, move somewhere for just 1 year, that'll probably cost about 48 or something like that total, just to have the experience of being somewhere you wake up in the morning and you have, you know, a balcony, or you have a good view to where you have a view of the city or something like that. You want to be somewhere where you wake up motivated.
Yeah, no, because the thing about this, it's like you wake up, you're like, and you almost have to reward yourself. I think, like piggybacking off of that, you have to reward yourself with understanding, like, yo, I did this is like what I earned. I earned this. I earned this. Because me and my wife were talking about it. There's a penthouse, Aston Martin Tower. Penthouse is $59 million.
Shit.
Huge. It's probably going to be one of the biggest penthouses in Miami, if not the biggest.
Oh, it's new construction, or is it already
brand new?
Okay, got you.
It's $59 million for this penthouse. It comes with the Aston Martin. It's a crazy thought.
Good Lord. So you become a tenant, and then
you buy the penthouse, and they give you a $3 million Aston Martin.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
It's a limited edition. There's like only 100 of them.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but this place is like crazy. And me and my wife were talking about it. There was a $1 billion lottery thing, right? She's like, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna buy a lottery ticket. We're gonna win, and we're gonna move into that. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. Cause what, you get it? Let's say you win the lottery, you get the penthouse. It's like, it's not the same as like living in a place where you know you earned it.
Right.
So when I wake up, I look out the window at the ocean, I'm kind of like, yeah, I fucking did that.
Because there's a level of fulfillment.
It comes with pride and fulfillment. But if it's just given to you, I don't know, it won't hit the same. Like,
it's never the same.
It'll be nice, but you're like, you don't feel deserving of it.
That's probably why so many lottery winners, you know, when they do win, end up going broke. Because they blow through everything. I think as you ascend at a steady pace and you worked for it, it means more.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people always say like, oh, you know, if I had that kind of money, or if you give me that kind of money, they would be able to do so much. But it's not really the case. Like if you win the lottery and you get like 400 million and you're like, oh, well, you know, that'll set me up for life. I could do certain sort of investments. You could do that if you just go get some credit for the same thing. The same skill it takes to flip 100 to 1,000, 1,000 to 10,000. It's the same skill across the board. But if you never had the skill, you can't say, all right, well, now all of a sudden I'm going to get it out of the blue. And if you now take that money, you move somewhere, the network of people around you aren't going to respect you to the same level. Like you have somebody who was an investment banker who started their own stuff, ended up, you know, building a multi-million-dollar, 9-figure company. Now they're living in that location. You got a retired athlete who worked their entire life to get somewhere. They're living in that location. You got another business mogul, tycoon. They're working in that location. You got some people who got old money. Their family, you know, has corporations and things of that nation. They're living inside that building. And then here you are, a lottery winner. Yeah. So they might not respect you the same way, but you can kind of override that if you happen to be somebody who can be, you know, cool to be around. Yeah. But it can't be at the point where you're trying so hard.
Let's say you're a vibe, people aren't going to respect you from a business perspective.
Right.
So great example. I'm confident that wherever I go, I can get into business with anyone. You know, anybody that sees me or talks to me, we can get into business. But let's say you inherited it, or you're a trust fund kid. You're not like, you say, hey, let's go into business. And it's like, well, you've never made money. I don't want to go into business with you. At least for me, that's how it would be. Right? Like maybe if you came in as an investor and you literally just didn't tell me what to do, you just provided the money, we can do something like that. But like you as an operator, as an entrepreneur, someone with like decision-making power, I don't know if I would respect that. Right. So yeah, I'm really big on the fact of like, you earned it, bro. And same with you. Like, I'm excited for you because you earned it, and it's gonna feel like one of those things you wake up, you're like, fuck, man, this is great.